Hi, I'm Jenny with the Charleston Reiki and Wellbeing Center, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about past life regression. I have another video that I recorded about the differences between past life regression and past life readings, and if you haven't watched that one yet, you might want to check it out. But in that video, I briefly mentioned about what hypnosis is, how it's a deep state of relaxation, and everybody goes into that state every single day, at least twice a day, often more. And just to give you a little bit more information about that, so there's kind of two types of hypnosis, just like there's all these different types of brainwave patterns, which you may or may not be familiar with, and that's okay. So we have our waking state, which is considered like the beta state. We also have the alpha, and that's when you're just like super relaxed and kind of mellowed out. For those of you who meditate, if you're not going super deep into your meditation, that could be an alpha state. And alpha also comes along, unexpectedly. Like I use the analogy about like your car going into autopilot when you're driving a familiar route home and you're not really paying attention. You are paying attention to the road, but you're not really thinking about where you're going. And that is also an alpha state in most cases. There's also theta. Theta is a very deep state of relaxation. And that is just before you fall asleep at night and just before you wake up in the morning, you're in theta. For very deep hypnosis, the ideal is to achieve a theta state. Now that doesn't always happen, and that's for when we're trying to access those past life memories. Theta is ideal. You're going to get the most vivid experience, the most real, detailed, involved experience if we can get you down to a theta state. But even if you can only get into alpha, which everybody can do, everybody can get into both, it's still going to give you at least bits and pieces. Now, I've had people ask me, well, I don't think I can be hypnotized. I don't relax very easily. I have anxiety. I don't get comfortable easily, etc. I've had so many people say that to me and then come for sessions. And I would say at least 9 out of 10 times, they surprise themselves. Most people don't really fully acknowledge what they are capable of. And remember that you're going to have a guide. So even if you've had difficulty trying to meditate by yourself, trying to follow guided meditations that are pre-recorded, if you've had difficulty with that on your own in the past, that doesn't mean that you're not going to have a successful past life regression, because you've got a professional guiding you through that. Now, I can never guarantee results, and I will be completely forthcoming. I have had poor results at times. I don't offer a guarantee on the results, but I can tell you that more than 90, probably about 95% of my clients have a very fulfilling experience, and I've really only had a handful that just got nothing. And that's over now 6 years of practice. So, I'm not perfect, we're all human, but remember that this is a collaborative. We're working together. So no matter how good a professional is, and I have 6 years experience, but there's people out there with 20, 30, 40 years of experience doing this type of work. And even those folks can't guarantee 100% of the time that they're going to have a successful session. It just doesn't work that way because it takes both of us working together. Now that said, I've also had people tell me that they're really scared to undergo hypnosis for past life regression, because what if they get stuck in a past life? And I always love hearing that. You know why? Because that was my fear a long time ago. I was terrified that if I went into a past life regression with a professional hypnotherapist, that I would be stuck there and I would never come back to myself somehow. And it seems silly to me now, but at the time it was very real. I was really frightened about that possibility. And so I do still have people ask me that from time to time. And because I've experienced that fear and then gone through past life regression myself, at least twice before I started my training, I know that that is just not a possibility. So there's a number of precautions that I take. I have never heard about that happening to anybody, and I have a lot of colleagues that do this that I'm in, various groups with, and we discuss issues and whatnot. And I have never, ever heard of anybody being like stuck in a past life. That just doesn't happen. But that said, I do have like little tips and tricks that I reinforce that you're going to stay focused on this lifetime when you come out, at the end of the session and things along those lines. So, just as a little bit of a safeguard, because otherwise some of those things might haunt you a little bit, so I try to prevent that from happening. This is a really interesting thing to learn from, but we don't want it to sort of get in the way of your regular life. So, as far as learning from, a lot of people come to me for a past life regression just because they're curious. I've had people that say, hey, I've always kind of believed in reincarnation, but I want to kind of experience this for myself. And then I also had people on the opposite end of the spectrum that say, hey, I was raised Baptist and we don't believe in reincarnation, but I keep hearing about this and I want to see if there's anything to it. Or fill in the blank, whatever other religion. So it's really interesting because, some of those folks will have an experience and then they'll say, well, how do I know that was really a past life? How do I know that I wasn't making it all up? And all I can tell you is it's a matter of faith. So just like with a religion, and this isn't a religion, but no matter what your religious beliefs are, it's the same thing. So, you've got to trust your subconscious. This is coming forward from your own brain, from your own subconscious memories. And, you need to just trust that that's there. But that said, let's say that you can't find that trust. Let's say that you can't believe that. The bottom line is that you had that experience for a reason. Whether you want to consider it a true past life memory, or if you don't believe that because of your religion or any other reason, it came forward for a reason, okay? And so the bottom line is that when you're undergoing a past life hypnosis, there's always like a purpose to it. And so you're going to get out of it what you need. And even if you don't believe it was really a past life, it came to you for a reason, right? So, a lot of people come just for curiosity, but I also have people that come to me for other reasons. You might be having difficulty in a relationship and want to know why and get in deeper. And some of the other work that I do can definitely help with that. But some people will tell me specifically, like, I really think that I was with my spouse in a past life and we have all these issues and I think that there might be something to this as far as past lifetime affecting a current lifetime, and we can explore that. You may not go back to that particular past life, but I also bring in the higher self, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later, where you can have pre-arranged questions that I will ask your higher self when it comes through. I also sometimes have people that come to me for physical issues. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying I'm not a doctor. You probably know that by now. And I cannot diagnose medical issues. I can't prescribe. I can't promise any kind of, resolution with your medical issues. But I do work in alternative healing. And past life regression can at times be a form of alternative healing. Not for everybody, but at times it does work that way. So, great example. I had a client come to me that had had ongoing shoulder pain for much of her life, like since she was much, much younger, like late childhood. And always had these shoulder pains, had been to numerous doctors. They'd done all the tests, they'd done the MRIs. They kept telling her, we don't see anything wrong. We don't know what's wrong with you. Some even suggested that she was just making it up, that it was all in her head, etc. The medical profession often doesn't believe us if they don't have something concrete they can see. So she came to me and she was mainly coming out of curiosity, but in the course of our conversation, she brought up about this shoulder issue and she wanted me to ask her higher self what that was all about, what was going on with her shoulder and why the doctors couldn't diagnose it. So sure, I'm game. I'll ask about that. Well, we went into a past life where she had been a man in like the old Wild West. And there was a shootout and she was shot in the shoulder and I guess probably bled out or something because it wasn't long after that she died and in that lifetime. And so that injury, that manner of death in that previous life had kind of bled over into this life. And so she was experiencing this pain, which is almost like a phantom pain when you think about it because it came from a whole different body. But the awesome thing is that after the past life regression, that pain went away. And so years and years of being afflicted with this pain in her shoulder all the time, poof, it was gone. Now, that doesn't happen with everybody. I've had people come to me with various, pains, chronic illness, all sorts of things like that. Sometimes past life regression will help that, other times it won't. I don't do past life regression solely for the purpose of physical healing. It can sometimes aid in physical healing. It can also sometimes aid in like emotional healing. But the biggest reason is for lessons of things that you've done in the past to bring forward and look at and examine to work on your current lifetime. So you may have had a pattern that's been ongoing in past lifetimes and it's showing itself up again now, and you can learn from those previous experiences of dealing with a similar situation. And that's what's so wonderful about this work. So there's a lot of different things it can accomplish. And a lot of people do just come with curiosity, but I always try to ask some pointed questions to get to the bottom of what's going on in your life and what might we be able to help or figure out or solve or, perhaps even heal. So I hope that helps you understand a little bit more about the purpose of having a past life regression and reasons why you might want to do that. And then also, kind of what it's all about and what's going on with your brain during that time. And so, that just gives you a little bit more information, and I hope that was helpful. And if you want to see the previous video, and there will be upcoming future videos as well, go ahead and click on the little show more arrow. I guess it's on this side for you. If you click on that, it'll show you some links down below. And I'm also going to include my website and my email address. You can feel free to email me if you'd like to book a session. And again, to reiterate, I do sessions both in person in Charleston, South Carolina, but I also do them over the phone for anywhere in the US or Canada. If you're in another country, feel free to send me an email anyway, and we can see if we can work something out. There's just a few logistical reasons that I explained in the previous video why it's easier when I'm working with US or Canada, but I can often work things out with other countries as well. So I hope that's helpful, and I look forward to hearing from you, and thank you so much. Namaste.